Okay, I had a video about phone security and data privacy at protest events. Go over to the wrong side of TikTok. And it's interesting because I'm getting dozens of comments. I think a lot of them are bots that are bringing up an old talking point that I have not seen in months and months. I really thought that Maga got educated on this, got schooled on this, and it's real weird to me that this super cringy talking point is once again making the rounds. And I've made videos on this subject before, but it's been since before the election, and I guess I got to do it again. So at the beginning of my video, I said, hey, at every protest from now until the restoration of democracy, let's figure out how to keep our phones and our data safe. And me just saying restoration of democracy, bam, 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 all of these comments. You think America is a democracy? It's a constitutional republic. We never had a democracy. This is a constitutional republic. Like dozens of these. I blocked a ton of them, but I left a few up so that I could do replies. This is the cringiest MAGA talking point, and I don't know where it got started, why it is that so many MAGA cling to this like we don't have a democracy. So once again, MAGA, I'm here to hold your hand and explain some very basic high school level civics to you. I don't know what gotcha you think you have when you bring this up. I don't know why it is that you are so anxious to claim that this is not and has never been a democracy. And I don't know that you could define for me, none of you, I have yet to see any of you define for me when I engage with you in whatever comment section, especially on Facebook, where a lot of these guys, they're all older white men, by the way, overwhelmingly older Gen X and boomer white men who make this assertion. None of them can define for me when I'm like, hey, could you tell me what is a constitutional republic? Crickets every fucking time. So I'm just gonna gently explain to you. You know, I taught high school chemistry and high school biology. I have tutored in science extensively. Civics is not my wheelhouse, but I did take AP US government and I got a 5 on my AP exam. That was 30 years ago, but I still remember the fact that the United States is a democracy and also a constitutional republic, because a constitutional republic is a type of democracy. That's like saying you're not wearing shoes, you're wearing Chuck Taylors. You're not eating food, you're eating soup. Right? The United States is absolutely a constitutional republic. We do have elected representatives and we loan them our power as constituents so that they can govern on our behalf. They represent us, our needs, our will, our constitutional rights. And in that representative system, the Constitution protects our liberties while at the same time putting guardrails on our representatives and sets limits to government power overall. A constitutional republic where you have elected representatives is a form of representative democracy. Whole milk and 2% milk and skim milk, all still milk. A representative democracy and a direct democracy, still both democracies. And guess what? The United States is a representative democracy. In a direct democracy, we have majority rules, right? A direct democracy in a country as large, as expansive, as massive as ours would be incredibly cumbersome. A representative democracy works very well when you have your representatives upholding their oath to the Constitution and their constituents. A large part of the reason we are in this shithole mess now is because Republicans in the House and especially in the Senate are abdicating their responsibility. They are failing to do their job. They are refusing to exercise their power to check the executive and instead are handing over all of that power to Donald Trump and the executive branch. It is because the legislative branch, where we have our representatives that we voted for because this is a representative democracy, because the legislative branch is abdicating their responsibility, they are betraying their constituents and the Constitution. That is why Donald Trump is still in power, even though he has committed numerous impeachable offenses, as has J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. That's why the 25th Amendment is not in play. It's because Republicans who control both houses of Congress are failing you and me and this democracy. This is why we are now considered a failing democracy. I think the correct poli-sci term is a flawed democracy. We are in a period of democratic decline because Republicans in the House and the Senate will not do their goddamn job. And because the uber conservative 6 justices on the Supreme Court are beholden to their fringe unitary executive theory and to Donald Trump, not to the Constitution, what we have is the branches of government breaking down. Our forefathers did not plan for a day where 2 of the branches at the highest levels would decide that they would abdicate their duty, where they would betray their own people. But that is what we are experiencing right now. That is why Donald Trump is allowed to seize autocratic power and erode our democracy. We could also argue that not only are we a failing democracy, a backsliding democracy, we are no longer a constitutional republic because we are watching over and over and over the executive branch, along with the passivity and tacit approval of the legislative branch, and along with the uber conservative 6 on the Supreme Court, we're watching them betray the Constitution, no longer uphold our liberties. We are not functioning as a constitutional republic at all. The party that used to jerk off to the Constitution now tramples it. The party that used to worship the Constitution, have big decals on the back of their lifted truck of the Constitution. The party that used to wear shirts that had the Constitution on it, that used to just praise to the skies all of our civil liberties. It was all "don't tread on me." That party has so swiftly abandoned the Constitution in favor of worshiping a decrepit golden calf in the form of Donald Trump. How quickly y'all have handed over your power. Because remember what I said back at the beginning, a constitutional republic and a representative democracy, same thing. They rely on us, the people. The power lies with us. They rely on us handing over our small measures of power, loaning them to our representatives. We entrust our small measures of power to our representatives so that they can govern on our behalf, and the Constitution is supposed to check their power and make sure that our rights are upheld. None of that shit is functioning right now in the United States because Republicans have betrayed all of us. They have betrayed their oath. They have betrayed the party values that they said that they held dear, all in favor of what? A white Christian nationalist state, all in favor of making a king out of Donald Trump. How quickly they have forgotten what our grandfathers and great-grandfathers fought for. My grandpa fought in World War II. How quickly they forgot the founding of this nation, that we fought to free ourselves of the oppression of a tyrant king. How sad that the party that called themselves freedom-loving just a few years ago is now the party that's like, here, Daddy Donald, take it all away. We love coercion and control. We'll hand over everything to you. But getting back to this silliness, constitutional republic, it is a form of democracy. It's a form of representative democracy. And if you want to have one in the United States again, stop fucking making a king out of an aging billionaire who has spent his entire career grifting and fucking over working class people. Respect yourself, respect this country, respect our rights. Get your heads on straight. Figure out what it is that you actually stand for. Spend a few minutes touching base with yourself about why it is that you have abandoned the principles and values that you previously held so dear, that your forefathers fought and died for. What are you doing? MAGA America, what are you doing? The regime has allowed you to make an enemy of your own liberty. The regime is trying to pit you against your neighbors. The regime wants all of us hating each other and fighting each other. They want us ignorant as fuck, struggling, hungry, living on the margins so that they can control us. They want this country to be one where billionaires can freely exploit us. Our life hours, our blood, our sweat, our tears, our tax dollars. They don't want a constitutional republic. They want total control. They want you hating your working class neighbors and scapegoating them, in the hope that you won't notice that they are fucking you and me and your children and every working class person in this country over, and they are snatching our republic out from underneath us. What are you doing? What are you supporting? How is it that you have so quickly abandoned what you held dear? What have you let yourself get morphed into? Do you really think this is how we make America great? Do you really think that this is the way to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness?